All right, pal, we're back.
We are.
And early, see? I'll let you know every time we go early. I'm going to let you know about it.
Love it.
Uh-huh.
Just a minute, man.
I'm trying to make up for minutes prior, right? I think I'm ahead of the game now.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so, okay, lots to go over here. And for all those joining us, thank you so much. This has been a tremendous success. This is number 8 already, if you can believe it, our 8th live stream.
Wow.
9th if you count show 0, which was kind of a test.
That was a test run, definitely.
Test run. It took a while, right?
Yes, absolutely.
We might as well go right into it right now because today, as of filming, apparently, President Trump has been indicted again.
Of course.
By Jack Smith. And this time, I think, I guess, let me make sure I have this correct.
Yeah.
The charges include willful retention of national defense information and conspiracy to obstruct justice and false statements.
Yeah.
8 other people, I think, which are currently unnamed,
Yeah.
I believe.
They're going to keep indicting him on anything they can indict him on until this election. They just, look, it's gotten ridiculous. And if you can't, in my mind, whether you love Trump or hate Trump, if you can't see what's going on right now, you're just turning a blind eye to it. It's a political spectacle. That's the way I look at it. Like, these charges are ridiculous. And a former president, like every time something happened to Hunter, every time something happens to Hunter Biden, the next day something happens to Trump.
It seems pretty reactionary.
Yeah, Devin Archer, yesterday testified. Trump gets indicted today. There was the sweetheart deal, like on the 27th of July or 26th. The next day they added charges to the Mar-a-Lago one. Like, same thing happened in June. Like, it's like, it's not tit for tat. Like, justice should be served across the board. Like, I believe in the justice system, right? And justice should be applied consistently across the board. But it's become a joke.
Yeah, it's become a joke.
It really has.
And that's a shame because the public is so suspicious now because the timing of everything is just so... Yeah. It almost seems like it's conjoined. It's together.
Yeah, you can't explain the timing of it in any other way than tit for tat.
Yeah, at the bare minimum, to be suspicious. If you're paying attention, you're suspicious.
Paying attention is the key piece.
We're gonna get there. So how about this? This was supposed to be the very first thing we talked about. And I think it was CNN where I saw this. Apparently, the latest quote unquote poll, and who knows, right? But I read that Biden and Trump are in a virtual dead heat right now, as if it happened tomorrow.
Yeah,
they would be in a virtual dead heat.
Yeah.
And number one, how did we get here that those are the two candidates? And number three, what service does the news services provide the public by throwing poll numbers out so far in advance of any rational time frame for primaries or debates or anything?
Doesn't make sense.
Like, why? Why is that a news story?
On
this July 31st, why?
Because it is. I mean, why do they have Halloween decorations out right now? I mean, it's just because it gives people something to talk about and something to think about.
Don't we have enough?
Well, but you look at this, right? So this poll is out, one, because Biden's the incumbent in office, so they're going to poll him, right? Trump is obviously the front runner. They're going to poll him. The problem with polls, and I've always said this, and this is just my thoughts, whether it's right or wrong. Since I've been here today, I got 2 political calls I didn't answer, right? So I'm a registered Republican. I've never answered a poll phone call in my entire life as a voting adult. So I always say, how are they getting accurate numbers? I know all of my friends that are registered Republicans don't answer those calls. Like, how are they polling these people, right? And I also go back to 2016 when Trump beat Clinton. This is why I don't believe polls. She was so far ahead, right? In all the polls, winning by a landslide. I remember driving around, and this is in my mind how I knew Trump was going to win. They were saying all these polls, like Clinton's so far ahead. I didn't see one Clinton sign in any neighborhood I drove through. I saw all Trump signs. I didn't see any Clinton signs. So I'm like, how are these polls correct? And where are they getting these numbers from? They're trying to discourage voters. Like at that point in time, in my mind, these polls, in my mind, are completely fabricated. You can't get accurate data.
So let me ask you this question: If it's Trump and Biden in the general election, and if President Trump, in the meantime, is convicted in a trial, let's say the jury comes back, he's guilty, and he happens to win the presidential election.
Yeah, I don't.
So, as an attorney,
yeah, you're asking the wrong attorney. But
I understand it's not your specialty,
right?
But how does the average citizen look at that and make sense of that? Can the president of the United States be incarcerated? Can you govern from a jail cell?
Listen,
no, I'm being serious.
Okay.
I mean, could there be something that'll happen where they will stay his jail terms until he's out of office?
No, I don't
is that a possibility?
I don't think so. Honestly, like I have no idea, right? Like I don't have any idea how to answer this question. I don't think they would stay his. I think if you're convicted, pretty sure you can't be president, but I don't know. Like, I'm not that much of a constitutional scholar or election law scholar, so I'll be curious to look it up and see. I'm probably gonna try and do that tomorrow, actually, because I'm really curious. But again, like, this is the world we live in. Like, could someone who's being convicted of crimes be elected president? I didn't think so fucking 2 years ago. Now it's like there could be aliens at fucking Sheetz when I just stopped and got coffee. Like, that could have been an alien. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to believe anymore. Like, the world has gotten so out of control and so just mentally, like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. Like, my instinct is telling me from a lawyer's perspective, no, you can't be president from jail. But who the fuck knows anymore? They could change the rules. They could change the fucking laws. I don't know.
Probably that scenario has never really been in consideration.
Right? Who ever thought, like, we should probably put a law in the books that in case a presidential candidate gets indicted on a bunch of shit and they get convicted,
and then win the election.
What do we do? Like, who even crossed your mind, right? Like, it doesn't even cross your mind.
You have to laugh. I mean,
you do.
You have to laugh.
I never thought I'd have to think
so
about
absurd.
aliens. I never in my entire life thought I would have to actually contemplate aliens.
Well, we're gonna get there.
I know we're gonna get there.
Okay, so let's just go right to the big guy.
Okay.
And the little guy.
Okay.
Burisma. The average person in the street, and definitely including me.
Sure.
Okay, because I'm as novice as anyone. It's even hard to understand. I remember when the term whitewater was thrown around with Bill and Hillary Clinton and those other investors, and the public got beaten down with that term whitewater, where the average person didn't understand it was a real estate development company.
There was something. I was pretty young.
I don't even know. But you weren't that young. No, you weren't that young.
I don't think I could vote then, but
so when people hear the term Burisma, pretty much if you follow along, you kind of get that it was a foreign company, and somehow that foreign company might have been in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And there was a politician or prosecutor, a public
prosecutor
prosecutor there that was pressured to get fired, and it was a political pressure. Then it happened to be tied to this, and it happened to be the vice president of the United States, which we now know had 20 conversations or more with his son in front of Burisma or during Burisma meetings. That, of course, he was only talking about the weather, or grandchildren, or whatever he's talking about. You believe what you want, but the average person doesn't know the depths of the intricacies of it all.
Sure.
So, what do we do with that? How do we mentally assimilate all of that and make sense of it all?
I mean, well, first, I think you would hope that justice would prevail, right? You would hope that would be the case, that justice would be served in this situation, because for the average person to really think and understand about Burisma, what happened? Because again, that like I think it's a hard concept, right? Because what is influence peddling? Like we don't necessarily know, right? We hear a lot about it, but was Biden or Hunter Biden using influence peddling? Maybe not. We don't. What's the definition of it? We don't necessarily know. I don't know the legal definition of influence peddling. Do I think it looks bad? Do I think even if Joe Biden was on the calls to say hi and talk about the weather, by saying I'm going to have my dad, the vice president, hop on the call and say hello, in my mind, from a layman's perspective, that's influence peddling. You're showing you have the ear of the vice president and they're at your beck and call to get things done, right? Even if they didn't say anything. So that's hard. So it's hard for one to get back to your question a little bit off course. One, do people care? That's the first question. Like, I don't think a lot of people give a shit. Like, I don't think a lot of people give a shit about what's going on, especially people on the left. They don't care. It's their guy. Like, he didn't do anything wrong. So, and the people that do care, like, are they going to do enough digging to try and really understand at a deep level of what it is? I don't know. That's where we are in this country, man. Like, that's where we are.
When someone hears the term quid pro quo, so for the average layman, what does that
Tit
mean?
for tat, basically.
I mean, there's an implied deal.
Yeah, there's an I give you something, you give me something. Quid pro quo. Like tit for tat. I can't remember what the Latin
They use that a lot.
translation of it.
Or
Use it in law
political
school a lot.
speak.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. It's just like, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You know.
And how much of that is technically legal? And then what are the thresholds to when it becomes criminal?
That's the problem. I don't know. Like I don't even know how they define that, right? I look at it like this. If I take the law aside, like this is me taking off the lawyer hat, looking at it from a purely common sense transactional perspective. If you are the vice president, I am your son, and I use my relationship or my last name while you are in office to receive some financial benefit, that's quid pro quo. That to me should be criminal.
Okay.
Because it's one thing if I had skills, like if you paid me for a position, I had experience and was skilled at doing it's one thing. But when you just give me $100,000 a month to be on a board, when I've never been on an oil board, I know nothing about the oil industry because my last name is Biden. Like, I don't think that's right.
But is that more an ethical question or a legal question?
That's a great question because that's because you can get to the whole thing about insider trading in Congress, right? So much insider trading goes on. Is it illegal or is it unethical? Different standards. Where does morality come into the play? There's so many ways this conversation can go because I think there's a moral and an ethical crisis going on. And I think what's happening is it's hard for people to wrap their brain around what's going on because they haven't wrapped their brain around their own morals and ethics. So when people don't understand their own morals and ethics, how can they say what's right or wrong? Because I think this country is really fucked up right now. I really do. And I say that with all seriousness. I think there's major problems in this country. And I think a lot of it has to do with people do not take the time to understand where their morals and ethics lie. Not saying what their morals and ethics are right or wrong. It's just where are they? Where do they lie? Because you have to understand that to understand what you think about something. Right? Because if someone lives in the very gray area, they may think, who gives a shit? Everybody does it, right? That's their morals. Other people may be black and white. Like, that is wrong. They should not do that. Not many people actually have that conversation with themselves.
Okay, so if you take that point of discussion and you extrapolate it into the it's hard to do this because naturally it brings in an element of religion, I suppose. I'm not doing that for this conversation. But if you take that point you just made, you extrapolate it over like a 10-decade time frame, 100 years. Morals have changed, or the moral fabric of the country, visibly, at least for my 57 years, it's changed, continues to change. Things that were never permissible in prior decades now are just common day. And again, not a right, not a wrong, just saying they're different. They continue to evolve.
Sure.
So I think for people that have been here for decades and we've watched it, is the public just getting kind of for lack of a better phrase, just beaten down to accepting more laissez-faire things in society, which once were moral taboos or even somewhat against the law in certain segments. Like, are we just becoming more passive in our feelings against holding a moral authority in society? Does that make any sense? We're more passive about it now.
Well, so I think you can argue, yes, it could be passive. I also think maybe we're more open as well. I think maybe it's not that we're more passive. It's just we aren't necessarily following the rules that we thought we had to follow.
Okay.
We're more open to fluidity of morals. Because that's where I think we are. Like I always say, moral relativism, right?
Right.
Because you say killing is wrong, but what if it's in defense of your family?
Right.
And how do you say it's wrong all the time, right? If someone's going to try and kill my daughters, it's me or them. Like, is that wrong? Like, if you look at morals as black and white, killing is wrong, right? But you change the facts. That's moral relativism, right? So I think that's where I think we've learned more about that as a species. So we don't necessarily believe that everything's black and white anymore. One, there's more access to information. Two, there's more ability to do things that maybe not fall within the black and white. Three, I think people are more intellectually open about certain things. I'm not saying more intellectual. I'm just saying more intellectually open about the way the world works.
Has that happened through enlightenment or us just being beaten down?
Both. I think some people have become enlightened. I think some people have just gotten so beaten down. They're just like, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I don't give a shit about anything. But I think there is an enlightenment to it, right? I think if I just look at, just my mental journey over the past even 5 years, like how, not that I've become enlightened, but I think my eyes have been open to the way the world works in a very different way. I just view it differently now. Whether that's enlightenment or not, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a podcast in its own right. But
I tee him up, man. I tee him up.
You definitely tee him up. So this Devin Archer, he testified in a closed session of the House Oversight Committee. We don't have the transcripts yet. We don't know. I had a social media post yesterday. I thought it was a interesting point, so I threw it up there. Okay. And I didn't intentionally do not do heavy politics stuff, but I found this one interesting. So an hour after the session concluded in the late afternoon, I went to CNN and I went to Fox. Fox had two major front page stories on what happened there. Yeah. CNN did not. They had a blurb about it. No, not a blurb. They had an article, but it was a smaller photograph down the page a bit. And the way it was worded was Fox had, Comer's, Representative Comer's first words out of the committee, and that was quoted. CNN said that Devin Archer revealed to the House Oversight Committee that Hunter Biden sold the illusion of influence from his father. Period. That was it. Yeah. So you have the same event, two completely different spins from the two major news sources. Yeah. It was, and I put them together. So I mean, it's very obvious. Yeah. There's an intent. It's a blatant attempt to manipulate and play to their audience.
Well, look at how they described Devin Archer up to this. Like Fox, Devin Archer, former business associate of Hunter Biden. CNN, Devin Archer, someone convicted of securities fraud. I mean, that's what it is. Oh, and he was also an associate of Hunter Biden. But it's convicted of securities fraud, led the charge on that side. Hunter Biden's business associate, same person, same set of facts. It's the spin they put on it.
It's to taint him first and foremost, so that anything else that the reader might get has that taint on it.
Exactly. Yes.
Which isn't wrong. It's just the way it's phrased.
Exactly right.
Fantastic.
Never a dull moment.
So they're going to release a transcript in a couple of days. Do you think anything will come of this?
Oh, I hope so. I mean, here's why. Again, I believe in the application of justice across all political lines. Biden, clearly stated during the presidential campaign, even since he's been president, I never spoke to my son about his business dealings. I never spoke to any of his business associates. This guy basically contradicted that. He was on the call at least 20 times. Like, someone needs to be called to the carpet. We can't, because it makes a mockery of our political system. Like, you're doing it to Trump. Okay, cool. Maybe he deserves it. Cool. So does fucking Biden. Scrap them both and start over.
You'd like to see it happen.
Like, fuck. You and I will run. Fuck it.
Yeah, man.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. A little thing that didn't get a lot of press, but apparently Hunter had his plea deal hearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of went south.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge said that the night before, or this came out at some point in time during that process, maybe the day after, I don't know, but the night before the actual hearing.
This was recently. This was, I think, this weekend.
Yeah, the judge who had the hearing for his plea deal said that, I think the woman's name was Jessica Bengal or Bengal.
Yeah, Bengals or something, yeah.
Part of Hunter Biden's lawyer team had made a phone call to the clerk of courts the night before or day before.
Yeah, something I think.
And somehow misrepresented. She misrepresented herself as part of the lawyers for the House Ways and Means Committee.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think she released. I think it happened over the weekend, or it might have been with the plea. It might have been something
So was
else.
it an intentional effort to deceive?
Well, they're going to say, "Oh no, it wasn't. It's a miscommunication." But I mean, the judge put an order out threatening sanctions because apparently this woman called the clerk of courts and pretended or maybe communicated in a way that made them believe she was part of the House Ways and Means legal team also investigating Hunter Biden, and she was trying to get them to remove a document from the case so it wouldn't be on the docket, which is fucking bullshit.
And so if that actually happened and we didn't live in a world of chaos,
correct,
that would be a major headline. That would
did
be like a Watergate
lawyer, I should be
headline, right?
disbarred. Yeah, I should be disbarred. Like if I called up a court and impersonated someone, I should be. That's grounds for disbarment of my law. To take away my law license. I don't deserve it. But because it's Biden's legal team,
so
bad girl, move on.
So wait, so his plea deal fell apart.
The judge threw it out.
And I think it was because there was was there an implied.
I'll tell you what it was.
That he wanted. How did I say this? He wanted immunity from other potential.
The plea.
Is that
deal,
right?
Yeah, the plea deal gave him immunity from future prosecutions. The judge said, "I've never seen a plea deal like this. This is ridiculous," and threw it out.
Now, didn't they even ask I think they asked the prosecution, "Is this normal?" And the prosecutor said, "No, this is a one-time occurrence or something."
Yeah,
similar
and the
to that.
judge tossed out. She's like, I'm not signing this plea deal.
And why, as citizens, are we not outraged about that?
Great question. Great question, Eric. You get the star today. I don't have a fucking clue. Like, we should be outraged. But again, like, that's why they throw so much information at us. Like, all this shit happens while they're talking about aliens. Like, oh, and by the way, we're going to have this hearing and talk about, we've known about aliens for a long time. We actually shoot down UFOs all the time. We have a couple of them. You guys want to hear about it? We'll tell you. And people are just like, don't really give a fuck. Like, that's literally what has happened.
Right. Okay, we'll get there. So, all right. So, just again, I'm asking an attorney, layman's opinion here. So, he does not have a plea deal. So, he had to plead not guilty. Or he could plead guilty, but he pleaded not guilty.
Yeah, so we'll go to trial.
So, the idea is to just give more time for a plea deal to be worked out. And you're guessing a plea deal will be worked out.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, there's so much. Well, and the other thing I think, so there's a backhanded play I think that people aren't looking at. I think so. Part of it, and if I remember correctly, and I got to brush myself up on this, but because it's now he pled not guilty in his ongoing criminal case, he can't be subpoenaed or documents can't be subpoenaed in front of Congress, while there's an ongoing criminal investigation. So if he would have pled out and they would have had a plea deal, then he could have had to testify in front of Congress, basically asking about his dad. He could have had to do all that shit.
But nothing would happen to him.
I don't know, but still, if he would have got called to
so politically
it implicates his dad.
Yeah.
But now I think and that's what I think people are missing, because the plea deal fell through and it's an ongoing criminal investigation. Like, it almost gives them an air of protection now.
And can they ride that all the way through the general election?
They'll ride that out, yes, because that criminal case could take years.
And that'll keep him out of chambers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
House or Senate chambers.
Yeah. Yep.
House in this instance.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Wow. I did that.
Yeah.
That puts a whole new spin on it.
A whole new spin on it. Yeah. And again, like, I'm 99% sure that's the rule of how it works. But that's the big part people were talking about. Like, because like people were missing that. Like, oh yeah, justice was served. Okay, cool, but you can't testify in front of Congress now.
It's funny. Social media was interesting. I just spent a little time reading opinions yesterday on some political stuff, and you get people that are, you get the Trump haters that think he's literally like the worst human being walking the planet.
Yeah.
But they actually think that Hunter Biden is, I saw words like misunderstood.
Right, of course.
Because he is a petulant, spoiled child, but nothing more. This one person said, we should feel bad for him because he's, a drug addict and or maybe a recovering. I don't think he's actually recovering, but who knows? Just my opinion. Who knows, right? But supposedly a recovered drug addict. There was all these people that would look at him and not want to see the truth.
Exactly right.
Under any circumstances. Yep. It's like,
that's sad.
What's even sadder is people that look at Joe Biden and think that he has his wits about him. Well, they know he doesn't, but they're willing to even convince themselves that everything's okay in Dodge.
Yeah,
it's not okay in Dodge.
No, it's not okay at all. It's not okay at all in Dodge. Like, if you can't see that, you are fucking brain dead. Like, if you can't,
they can't admit it. They see it.
That's the thing. Like, and again, this is the problem with our system in this country. If we could just all have a decent conversation and say, yeah, you know what? We like Biden over Trump. Okay. We liked him. We thought he'd be a better president. Right now, he's kind of a fucking mental mess. Like, we can admit, like, if people on the left would speak like that, I would be like, yeah, like, that's a great point. Like, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the fact that you said you voted for Biden because you hated Trump.
Democratic candidate.
Right. And if you put one up better than the Republicans, I would vote. I'm voting for their best for the country. Yep. But we can't get off our team, and we can't admit when we're wrong. Like, people that hate Trump, they can't tell you why they hate Trump. He's a racist. He's this, but you can't point to specific instances.
No, they don't understand.
And then you ask them about policies, and they're like, he was terrible for this country. What was terrible? Tell me how bad it was for you. And they can't articulate it. They just picked a team, they picked a position, and ran with it.
It's virtue signaling.
And didn't understand why. Like, I've watched videos of people on the street being questioned, like, vehemently hating him, but can't articulate why. They just have so much hatred for the man, but they can't articulate actually why they hate him.
And if they do say something, it's usually superficial, which makes no logical reason to dislike anybody.
Exactly.
And again, it's for another day, but I will mention it briefly. I'll go back to my standpoint that we do not do much in terms of reflecting on our own personal philosophy. We state that we believe things. Yeah. And oftentimes we hear things and make an instant decision that that's for us on a whim.
Yeah.
And now these whims somehow become our stated beliefs. It's one of the stupidest things humans do, but it's very prevalent in our current society.
Well, right. And to me, like, look, I'm 45 years old, and I look at my views have changed over the years, and I hope they continue to, because that means I'm open-minded and I'm willing to listen to people, and I'm willing to listen to an argument that's convincing. Like, I joke with you about the flat earth, right? Like, we joke about that. But to me, it's like, I don't believe the earth is flat, but I was willing and open to listen to what people had to say about that.
Right.
I was like, at first, like, this is, but then you listen, I'm like, okay, I understand your logic. I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. Like, So I hope my views constantly change because, or at least they're challenged, because that means I'm open to conversation. That means I'm intellectually curious.
Absolutely.
And that's what I think we need more of in this country. Like,
What we need to
that.
be is more, we need to be more curious about the truth, or more curious about finding the truth, even if it rubs up against our feelings.
Or
And if it
finding
rubs
what
up
the truth potentially could even be.
100%.
Is there even truth anymore? Or truth perception?
Yeah. Or do we care is the bigger question as a whole. Do we actually care?
So
I would hope so as well. But I mean,
because if we don't care about the truth anymore, then what do we really care about?
I think there's a lot of the average population, and I'll label them. I think a lot of people that are strong consumers that work for other people. Because I think entrepreneurs have to be wired a little differently.
Yeah.
But if you're an employee in our economy, you may be more susceptible to this because you can go through your life, with the truth not being as important. When you run a small business, if you don't have the truth of your numbers and your surroundings, you won't be in business long.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
But I think most of society are not entrepreneurs. They're in a position where they go to their job, they come home, they watch the news, they hang out with their friends, they may drink a few beers, maybe have one or two events during the week they do something, but that's their lives.
Yeah.
Maybe a fantastic life.
Yeah.
But where you need to have concrete facts and truth every day and always, that's not the life they're living. And they don't need to have that. And when you don't need to have the truth all the time, you're susceptible to sliding through with assuming things are the truth because somebody said it.
Yeah.
But when you deal with numbers and facts and truth every day to make decisions for your livelihood, I would think you would be more open to being intellectually curious in the pursuit of finding the truth. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be, especially if you're a business owner and you're now
100%.
I'm responsible for the lives of others and their families. So I have to be intellectually curious. I have to seek the truth in everything that I do. I have to seek.
But if we're not in jobs where we're it's a requirement, if we find conjecture and just moving along and whatever's comfortable, we just go. Because humans will take the path of least resistance.
Absolutely.
That's how we're all wired.
Yeah. Yep.
All of us.
Yep.
And I just think that, we're getting beaten down that, like, hey, you expressed frustration earlier, like, what the fuck? Everything's just, it's aliens. I think a lot of people are echoing that.
Yeah.
And how many of them just literally tune out?
Yeah.
I'm not going to pursue the truth because it's too damn hard to figure out.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. It's intellectually and mentally exhausting.
So what do we do in turn instead?
What do most people do?
We pick a team.
They turn
give
to
us what we think
distractions,
certainty is, right?
Yeah.
And that's how we progress.
They look at certainty in numbers and comfort. That's what it is.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
2023, dude. Like, that's where we live.
So,
crazy town.
Left turn.
Okay. Let's do it.
Right, left. Your left is my right.
Yeah.
My right's your left. Right turn. No, we're going to be politically correct. We'll say left first, then we'll go to the right.
Okay.
Lizzo. Familiar with this person?
I know the name. I don't know. I couldn't point.
I know she's a singer. I didn't know much about her till I did some reading today.
Okay.
I think my my daughters like some of their music, and I can't say I've ever seen her like on TV or something, but I realized that she's popular. I don't know any of her music, but I did see a headline today. I think it was on all three of the major networks that I read.
Okay.
That's what I do. I see something, I try to see if it's on the other network, so I know it's not an editorial piece, right?
Okay. Yep.
Lizzo is a full-figured singer.
Okay.
Right? I want to be absolutely politically correct here. And I guess she's unabashed at her full-figuredness, and I think that was part of her persona. She throws it out there as part of it. I guess she even has clothing lines, and she's an entrepreneur.
Okay.
Apparently, her dance crew or members of her current touring dance crew have sued her because at a restaurant or something, I think it was in Denmark, do not quote me, I'm paraphrasing, she verbally assaulted them and fat shamed them, making comments, and there's other episodes, I believe, but it's in the news.
Okay.
Lizzo is accused in a lawsuit that's been filed of fat shaming her own employees. Now, again, the obvious jokes aside. I mean, her girth is part of her persona, her stick.
Yes.
So the obvious question is, how much fucking hypothetically, hypocritical is it that she would fat shame members of her performing crew?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's almost insane.
Well, let me spin it a different way. Like, what lawyer took that case? And look, I understand like people shouldn't bully and shouldn't do certain things. I don't know what was said. I don't know what was said, but the fact that we're filing a lawsuit because they were fat shamed, what are the damages? Like, we can't, like, and this is where, me as a lawyer, I kind of get pissed because I'm not saying it's a wrong type of case, but there are some cases that shouldn't be brought. And then it's like, then everybody thinks we can sue for everything. Like, we have people call sometimes our office, and it's like, you feel for them. I'm like, there's no claim here. You can't sue for that just because you're mad because someone did something that wronged you. That doesn't mean it's legally actionable, right? Just because someone like called you a name at work and you flipped out on that person and got fired for punching them. Like, there's consequences to actions. Like, and that's the thing. I think everybody
is there.
I don't know, but I think everybody thinks that everything's a legal cause of action. I was wronged. I'm going to sue somebody. Like, there's been so many calls we've had over the months where people call and they just want to sue for something. I'm like, you can't sue for that.
Well, don't you think that's a result of entitlement culture?
You can't sue someone parked in front of your driveway for 10 seconds.
Do you think that's an illusion created by entitlement culture?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's a great point. That is how about just solve the problem? Like, go over to your neighbor and be like, hey, your car's parked in front of my driveway. Would you mind moving it? Instead of saying, I'm going to fucking sue this guy. Parks in front of my driveway. Okay, well, it's a public street. Okay, and he's encroached slightly on your driveway. What are your damages? Did you get in a wreck? Did you damage your car? No. I just don't want him parking there. Can I sue him? No. Like, but these are discussions I have.
I find it so ironic, though. I mean, this body positivity thing has got a great side to it, and we talked before. It's also got a dangerous side to it. But besides all that, it's definitely part of this uber emotional feelings society we're in, right?
Yeah.
And so, you live by the sword, you fucking die by the sword. I can't feel bad for Lizzo, and I also don't feel bad for the people that were fat shamed. Grow some skin, grow a thicker skin, and also it's like, if you want to be part of the woke society, the new woke society, you live by the sword, you fucking die by the sword.
Exactly.
If you want people, you don't want your feelings hurt, you can't hurt other fucking people's feelings the same way.
Correct. Exactly.
You can't have it both ways.
And that's exactly. You are hitting the nail on the head, and that is the biggest problem we have right now, is people, yes, they want to have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. That's just not how it works. Can't have your cake and eat it too.
It's almost like,
not mean to make a fat
it's
joke
almost
there.
Well, but touche. But it's all I thought about today, which is not really related, but theoretically is related. It's like wanting to expound that you're a communist and that capitalism is the worst thing around, yet you're on the bus, on the train, with iPods in your ear and a MacBook in your lap and an iPhone in your lap and, $300 tennis shoes and like a $400 leather coat and a $200 cap.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you're a communist.
Well, and there was a great video I saw.
Communist.
Well, there's a guy, I can't remember his name, Charlie something, but he's like a conservative. He talks and he goes around schools and that turning point. And there was a video of him. This woman got up and she was talking about the problems with capitalism. Like, it's slave labor. It's this, you're forcing people to work for low wages to do this. And he's like, okay. And then she goes on this rant and he's like, well, you use the clothes you're wearing were made by these people. she's like, well, yeah. He's like, well, why don't you just make her own clothes? She's like, well, that's just not convenient. He's like, so capitalism's convenient for you. And like, she didn't know what to say, but it was like she went on this whole like diatribe of like, capitalism's bad and you're forcing people to work and you're treating workers bad. And then when he reversed it on her, and she's like, well, it's just inconvenient for me to make my own clothes. He's like, so capitalism's convenient. He's like, do you see the point? And then she didn't know what to say. And it's like, that's the thing. Like, we want to be communist or socialist, or we want to, be this woke, but yet you're enjoying all the spoils of capitalism.
They really don't. It's
right.
It's a facade. It's a team. It's an activity.
Correct. Yes.
An activity that their little group is doing, and they think it's cute. I mean, if you want to show me you're a communist, then show me your registration with the American Communist Party, and show me you're living under the tenets of communism.
Correct.
Let me see your co-op engineered clothing.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me see your laptop that wasn't made by a capitalist country. Yep. Let me see, are you using a fucking abacus? Because you're not going to find anything close to your modern society with little tiny pieces of capitalism thread through everything, including your clothing.
Exactly right, dude.
Everything.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
And if you don't like it, that's fine. But understand, when you wear an identity or you open your mouth without having your thoughts vetted out, and if you can't speak intelligently about what you actually believe, you're open for criticism, and you're going to get your feelings hurt by multiple people.
Yes.
And it probably isn't going to end well.
No, it's not, unfortunately.
It's really fascinating that we're just so, it's almost like I say many times, I am not the sharpest tool in the tool shed, but even I can see that wasn't a good play. When I watch people do that, like John Kerry testifying, supposed to be a brilliant man, made a lot of money, been a statesman forever, ran for president, married, a billionaire's ex-wife, and Teresa Hine. I get it. Accomplished man.
Yeah. Yep.
No doubt. No doubt. But even he, in his delusion, can't think that going around the globe and talking about carbon and global warming and all this bullshit, flying private, owning a plane, his family owning a plane, all that stuff, even he knows if he goes in front of Congress, they're going to ask him about it. He acts indignant, like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, what am I missing? I'm some schmuck in Coriopolis watching on TV going, how did he not see that freight train coming? He has all this staff and all this intelligence and academia and all this bullshit, and you can't see the insanity of your hypocrisy.
They don't give a shit. That's the problem.
We don't give a shit enough. We call them out on it, then it goes away. We never do anything about it.
Correct.
We're okay with these people lecturing us.
And they know that, and that's why they don't give a shit. Because they know there's no consequences to it. They're in the machine, they're in the system, they're going to stay there until the people actually make a change, and we're not going to.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, I just want to touch on it.
Okay.
Did you notice that Ukraine was using drones in Moscow this past week?
I did not know. Interesting.
So Ukraine's now taking the war beyond their border into Russia.
Okay.
And certain people in the news think that's fantastic, and they should, because they were invaded. Why can't they invade? Yeah. It's tit for tat. On the logic of it all, I mean, sure, if you have country A gets invaded by country B, the country B should have the right to go invite, it should be logically right. But it's also a situation where you're kicking the bear, you're poking the bear.
Yeah.
And the consequences are not confined to your little country.
Right.
There could be bigger consequences.
Yeah.
And I, as a citizen, don't like to see drones killing Russians in Moscow. Not that it isn't quote unquote right, but the dangers based upon how much power, military power, and a nuclear power Russia has, not sure it's in America's best interest to quote unquote permit Ukraine to keep kicking the fucking bear in the teeth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so over the war. It's just got to end. Like, it's senseless at this point in time. Like, I don't even know what the fuck we're fighting for. I don't. Like, I really don't. And I'm over it.
I don't. We've got so much invested financially, and we are,
Right,
as
for
far
what,
as I
though?
can
For
see
what?
from a distance, right? And far as I can see from a distance, that we are at the precipice of getting men and women, or however the other gender is defined, in our military involved in this thing.
Right.
And with a commander-in-chief who is mentally compromised,
Yeah.
I'm just worried as a citizen that what I see from afar is that we may be pulled into an extremely dangerous situation.
If we get pulled into
And
it, it's World War III.
Unsettling.
It's World War III if we get pulled into it. If we put boots on the ground in a substantial way, we'll move into World War III. Like, shit'll get ugly. Like, we got to end this, in my opinion. I'm not a foreign policy expert, but I'm just talking from a common sense perspective.
All right,
Senseless death.
Let's go there. Let me ask you this question: Why do you think that we have not seen, at least the public has not been shown, a concerted effort by the United States to intervene and find a solution on this? I mean, like, play the peacemaker.
Yeah.
Like, why is it because Ukraine has been so egreged here that for us
Egreged
to
with
play
what?
peacemaker, we would piss off too many people? Like, why can't we be peacemaker?
I don't even know, to be 100% honest with you, I don't even know what the fuck we're fighting for. Like, I don't even know
Well,
what
ask the
those
guy in the street.
I
You
don't know what
either.
those two countries are fighting over right now. I don't. So I can't, I would love to give you an articulate, intellectual answer. I don't have a clue. Because I have no idea what they're fighting over.
Well, we've been sold that it's Putin's delusion is why we're
Delusion
fighting.
of what?
That he just
He should take over Ukraine.
I think that's essentially, or at least a good portion of it. I think that's what his delusion was, and I guess his delusion also was he was justifying it because he believed there was Nazis there and other kind of nuttiness. But I'm saying the average guy in the street doesn't know why we're there either. And there has been countless amounts of money being thrown over there, which I get. I know it's funny money to the average person because it's just money numbers we can understand. But we got a lot of problems in this country.
A lot of problems.
And
a lot.
we
We
are
can't take care of our own vets.
Billions with B's over there.
Billions of dollars. And yet we don't have secure schools, and we have homeless veterans, and we have police officers that don't have all the equipment.
We have
a
an
huge
absolute
border crisis.
with fentanyl being the major cause of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, and aliens on the border.
Not quite there yet. We're getting there.
We want to get there. I don't even.
That's what I'm saying in regards to the war. I think, again, we're talking about the average guy, gal, watching from their couch.
Yeah.
I mean, we all felt terrible for Ukraine. I think about when that war started, I was building this studio, and I was up here countless nights putting stuff on the wall, and I was glued to my phone, listening to the news and going between station to station to try to find an independent voice about what the hell's going on, and being kind of unnerved, holy shit. I mean, is Putin going to nuke us? Is Zelensky going to, do something so provocative that, you never know, right? That was over 14 months ago.
Yeah. And I don't think
here we are.
And I don't think at that point in time, people cared, right? But I don't think they even knew why they cared. I think at the time, I'm not saying you, at the time, it was the popular thing to care about. Because again, and I've joked in the past that I guarantee if you pull 9 out of 10 people off the street that say we support Ukraine, we'll put the Ukraine flag on our Facebook profile, they couldn't point to Ukraine in a map. I'm just being honest. This is what we need some honesty in this country. People just issue hop because it's cool to change their Facebook profile picture to say we support Ukraine and we do that. Where's Ukraine? Point it out to me. Point it out to me. What language do they speak there? What do they do there? What's their major export? What do you know about Ukraine? I don't know about fucking Ohio. That's right next door.
I mean, we're told that NATO,
right, what you said, we're told.
You're right.
We're told.
We're told that NATO is such an important strategic organization. And
why?
Well, the irony of the thing is that I guess we provide the most military money to it to support it, right?
Yes, we provide everything.
But we're not even in Europe. And
Correct
me if I'm wrong. It's a European-based organization, right? I don't know. I don't know. I just find it again, just two average guys trying to make sense of the world, and we're spending so much money on a war that I don't think. And I'd be willing to make this bet too. I know a portion of our senators and a portion of our House representatives, they're in committees and they get briefed on things. Only a portion of them. So that leaves the rest of them don't really know what's going on over there. If you were to ask like a freshman congressman from Idaho, can you articulate what's going on with the Russia and Ukraine war? Can't fucking articulate that.
No, they'll articulate the
party line.
Guarantee it. They'll articulate the party line.
I guarantee it.
Dude, that's the majority of people. That's the majority of people, dude. Every popular movement, I always say 10% of people actually know what the fuck's going on. 90% of the people pretend they know what's going on because it's popular at that time. If you look at every issue or every political or social issue over the past 3 years, like people just jumped from issue to issue. Some of them are diabolically opposed to one another. You are support these countries, but these countries do not support trans rights, but yet you support these countries and you support trans rights. Like, how do you mentally make that make sense? You can't. And again, because they're just issue hopping. What's the popular issue at the time to be passionate about? And they're not really understanding what their actual viewpoints are. And back to your point, their personal philosophy is missing. Because you have I have personal philosophies, like, not to sound like a heartless bastard, but the Ukraine war, like, I don't think about. It doesn't really impact me.
Most citizens do.
To a way that it's going to really impact my life. And if it does, I'll figure out a way to navigate it. That's my personal. I don't waste mental time or energy on things that don't impact my day-to-day life.
Or you can control it.
Can't control it. So why worry about it?
All right. So former Navy pilot Ryan Graves testified in the House that not only are there alien crafts, or what they call as UAPs now, but that the United States government has biological entities. Otherwise, aliens. And again, it's one guy, and you have to look at the testimony. Yes, but in this instance, he's one guy, and does he look at the veracity of the testimony and history? Do you believe this guy's telling the truth?
Yes.
I'm kind of inclined to believe he is.
Yes, there's aliens. Fuck it.
Well, at what point are they going to whip out the alien, bring him and sit him down and buy him a Coke and let him talk? Or they're going to bring the tank he's been submerged in all these decades and show us him floating there? Like, at what point in time?
I feel like we wouldn't give a fuck. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, we had a hearing last week, right? Like 6 days ago on TV in Congress. That like, yes, we have non-human biologicals or whatever they're called.
Entities.
Whatever they're called. We have these. Yes, we have these. And yes, we have UFOs. And yes, we've shot them down. And yes, and no one gave a fuck. Like, I saw more hilarious memes on the internet over this that you would think that people would be like, oh, fuck. Like, oh, hold on. Like, there's aliens. Like, should I start being a prepper? Like, should I buy a bunch of food? Should I start getting water? People are like, are any of the aliens over 6 foot and over their ex because I'm looking to expand my dating pool? Like, this is the shit people are saying, which is hilarious to me. But it's like, that's how fucked up we are in this country right now. Like, to me, that's kind of a big deal. And we're like, hey, we thought we were alone. We're not. We've got, about this.
And are they dangerous?
And we have all these people here. And it's like, but I did see an interesting analogy that was actually made a lot of fucking sense to me. And I can't remember where I saw it, but the guy was saying, he's like, we don't fuck with ants. He's like, they're little fucking, who gives a shit? We don't fuck with them. He's like, that's probably how the aliens look at this. Like, look at these dumb motherfuckers down here. Like, don't even know what they are anymore. Like, we're not even gonna bother with them. And I'm like, like that kind of, because he's like, when you think about, like, Like we look at ants, we're like, no fucking ants. Like we don't give a shit. Like no one's gonna talk to them or like try and like learn about them, and like we just don't bother with you. He's like, aliens are probably like that. He's like, look at these crazy motherfuckers down here. They can't even agree on anything. Like they thought they knew what their genders were. Now they have no fucking idea. He's like, why are we even bothering with them? But like when you think about it, it's just like, I don't know, man. Like I don't know. Like it's the fact that they've announced it and the world didn't go in upheaval just shows where we are.
So one of two things are happening. One, it's it's all happening as we're it's finally starting to be revealed. It just happens to be happening in an extremely caustic time in our society.
Yeah, close to an election.
Or it's happening intentionally at this time, at these specific moments, as a diversion.
Well, dude, I mean,
from reality.
Well, there's a whole bunch of rabbit holes we can go down on that. Like, are they trying to, one, distract us, two, get the world to fight against a common enemy, to create a global order, to create a global currency? There's so many rabbit holes, and they're all, I mean, conspiracy theories are not, I mean, there's logic behind every one of these things. Like, look at Reagan talked about, like, in the 80s, like, we need, the only thing to bring this world together is an extraterrestrial force to fight against.
Yeah.
What do they have a unified front against them.
Yeah.
And it's also around the same time we're moving to this
threat.
digital currency, and we're trying to get everything off the actual, like, dollar and digital currency and Fed now, and like the one cryptocurrency now is regulated, so they're looking at how do we control the money system, like what is going to happen. I'm just waiting for a time traveler to come back and be like, you guys need to get your shit together because shit's about to get weird, because there's got to be time travelers out there, right? Like eventually they're gonna figure out time travel. We figured out AI.
If you think about it, right? I mean, if
maybe you're a time traveler, you just haven't told me yet. I don't fucking know.
I wouldn't say if I was, but I just think it's fascinating that all of this stuff, this exploitive, explosive, all happening at the same time. And it's been going on since, I mean, I hate to say this, but it kind of got amped up when Trump got elected. And from that moment on, everything has just been amped up.
Yeah.
The volume of news.
Yes, I'm yes, and we're. I mean,
maybe Trump's an alien.
Listen, man, the fact that they had a hearing said, yes, we have aliens. Yes, we have them. They're here. Let's talk about them. Like,
so why as a people are we not demanding to see them? Because a decade prior, when the world wasn't so turbulent, at least we weren't being presented such a turbulent world.
Yeah.
I would think we would, as a people, find a way to demand to see them.
Yeah.
Or you would have had a, like, what? Like, okay, John Fetterman, our senator.
Yeah.
You heard that we have aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us why you're not demanding to have an alien brought in front of Congress to testify, or the alien's keeper, bring him here, or tell us that you've been told it's a threat, or for national security, we can't do it. Tell us something.
Yeah, I mean,
tell us something, Mr. Fetterman.
Yeah, he's not going to tell us anything.
I'm just saying,
Yeah, I agree. Listen,
he's our senator.
I completely agree. Like,
who's the other one? Murphy?
I can't.
Casey?
Remember. I don't remember who it is, honestly. But you're right. Like, why are we not? It's laughable to me because it's like that's where we are. Like, not at any point in my life did I ever think the government would have a hearing where someone comes out and says, guess what? Got aliens. Like movies, I've watched them, like, like literally, I was just,
got aliens.
I'm like, I started watching Star Wars yesterday. I'm like, I need to fucking brush up on lightsabers and shit in case the aliens start causing some shit. But that's where, like, literally, I'm 45 years old. I thought I would die not even worrying about aliens. Now it's like, I got to worry about my firm, paying people. Now, if aliens are going to fucking invade, are aliens going to become lawyers now?
I'll say this again. The first time you walked into the Boogie Street Studio was in the summer of 19.
Yes.
We went down a rabbit hole on your first show. It was fantastic. So good. I just wanted to keep coming back.
Yeah.
But I was quite sure after I threw some topics out to you that you were not on the alien bandwagon. Not that you were like saying
Yeah.
no, but it was like, that's just kind of far out there.
Yeah.
I'm good. I really don't want to devote any mental energy to this.
Yeah,
That's
I
where
remember-
you were.
I was there. Yep. Now
look at him.
we're starting to bring your alien to work day at the office.
Wait, what?
Bring your alien to work day. we're gonna pick
But
a day in September.
but
Bring
I mean,
your alien to
but
work day.
this was a pretty big congressional hearing, and it's funny how talking about aliens no longer brings scorn and laughter, and I mean, no one's laughed out of the rooms anymore when you bring up the subject of
No.
aliens. It's almost like mainstreamed.
No, and now you're looking at people like, is that person an alien? Like, you know, like if someone looks at you funny with like a side eye, or like, is that person? Because we don't know. Like, how do we know?
Or a
Like, we
time
don't know.
traveler.
Like there has to be time travelers.
There
like,
has to be.
Like there literally has to be. Like this parallel universe bullshit. Like again, went down that rabbit hole, and I'm like, fuck me. Like there are these alternate realities.
Doesn't it feel like if there is parallel universe, it's like I feel like we're being cheated. Like being stuck in this one.
Yeah.
If there's like an infinitesimal amount of them,
Yes.
it's kind of like I feel like I'm being cheated. Like, come
Yeah.
on, throw me a bone, throw me a couple more I can jump to.
Yes, it's
right.
like yes, like all this like shit. Like the Monopoly guy always had a monocle. Now he fucking doesn't. I'm like, that's bullshit. Like I remember him having a monocle. Like I remember that. I remember him being called Cheese Its, not Cheese It. It's like
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of those. What do they call those?
The Mandela effect.
The Mandela effect.
Yeah. Yes, like that. I don't even know what to believe anymore, man. Like I don't even know. Am I even a lawyer? Like I don't know. Like does that degree even matter anymore? Like I don't know. Like I don't know.
Well, if if the aliens come, we have to assimilate them into society.
Listen, man.
And it's like I don't know. I will say we're living in strange times. And when it's your government giving you the strangeness and not a science fiction movie,
that's the
the
understatement of the
government
year.
giving you the strangeness.
And they're all sitting with a straight face, like, well, what does the alien look like? What did he say? Is he cool? What does he drink? Just want to hang out later? I'm like, they're like stone face. Like, I would be in that hearing, but like, I would have to stop. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Fucking minds?
I would have literally, like, I don't know how these people
And
kept a
that's
straight
why.
face.
And that's why I think. Here now, down the rabbit hole we go before we end.
Yeah.
That's why I think they've all been taken into multiple meetings that it's not disclosed and explained what's actually going on back there. And that's why they're controlling themselves in these meetings. They're not shocked. I honestly believe that. Maybe it's not shocking to them anymore. Maybe that's the first thing they show you on on orientation weekend, on your first orientation weekend.
Yeah.
Of being a freshman
There's the
congressman.
bathroom. There's a cafeteria. Oh, aliens
By the way,
down that hallway.
the aliens are
Right
coming
there.
here. We're going to show this to you.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why I say that it's hard to believe that there is something at Area 51, 2, because Trump's such a wild card. Like if he was shown the aliens the first month he was president in 16 or 17, when he was shown the alien, he's so fucking nuts. Don't you think he would come out? Because the government's, in his mind, the government's fucking on him now, right? Wouldn't you just throw that out there? And by the way, they got 5 different kinds of aliens in Area 51. I saw them. That's right. I saw them.
You got 5 different kinds.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I can see him doing something unhinged like that.
Yeah. I disagree slightly. 'Cause I don't think he's unhinged as people think. I think he's tactfully unhinged. He's unhinged when it's appropriate to be unhinged.
Okay.
Like I think people have him read completely wrong. I think he's a very poised, thoughtful, pensive person. I
Okay.
think he becomes unhinged
When he takes his shit.
when it riles up the base. Like I think he knows aliens would not being unhinged. Like if he did know all this stuff, I think him being unhinged would do more detriment, because then it would cause upheaval. Like it wouldn't serve a purpose. I think him becoming, if you look at all the times he's actually become unhinged, it's been very tactical. Like name a time where he just went off the fucking handle for no apparent reason with no premise behind it. I can't name one. He says shit, but that's not being unhinged.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I think
I'll
he's
agree with
way
you there.
more tactical than people give.
Could you
him credit
imagine if they
for.
took Biden down there now and showed him the alien? He would think that's his neighbor down the street.
Probably shit his pants. I mean, maybe he already does that anyways. I don't know.
I mean, they got garments he can wear around for that. I'm
Listen,
sure.
dude, it's just out of control. It's out of control.
All right.
This was good, man.
That's
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yes.
Madness,
Monday,
but we live in a
right?
mad world. So next week,
Yeah.
we're gonna bump this up one day just for next week.
Yeah.
So we're gonna return next Monday. What day of the week is that? Oh, wait, that's Monday. What date?
August 7th.
The 7th. We'll have a little announcement for it. But again, next week, special night,
Yeah.
Monday, because he's a busy man.
So,
We're having a blast. And thank you
Yes.
so much for tuning in. We're never gonna run out of material.
no, not at all.
We'll see.
See ya.